team of Wayne and Dave Watt in the Toyota Taz, and still going strong was Spotty Woodhead in his 100th national rally start as a driver, and Kevin Clark in a VW Golf GTI doing its 95th national event. At the front of the field, rally leaders Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson were now pacing themselves to the finish. The Castrol Toyota crew was quite happy to drop a few seconds per stage to Jannie Havik and Douglas Judd. The South African champions-elect looked as though they were pushing the VW Motorsport Golf to the limit, but they were also coasting along while the engraver put their names on the 1999 championship trophy. Carlo Piazzamuso and Richard Leek were in a safe third, but the crew with major problems were Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding in the Reeks towing Golf.
We are pumping out about 1 litre engine oil per stage, and now without service on most of the stages, we actually worried that the engine will become dry, and I'm a bit worried at this point in time to see what will happen. We're carrying now extra engine oil with us, but hopefully we will get to the next service point.
Damage to the Lawrence Paisley Toyota Conquest was more serious than originally thought, and they were still battling along in what was effectively a one-wheel drive car. While they dropped down the pecking order, Enzo Kun and Steve Grobbelaar were on a charge into the top 5 in the Fuchs Top Car BMW. Rear-wheel drive rally cars are not the easiest pieces of machinery to maneuver around narrow gravel roads, and Kun was being made to work a little harder than his front-wheel drive colleagues. Spectacular action from the onboard race cam. With the Class A6 championship within their grasp, JP Damso and Pierre Aris had also decided to cool the pace a little, but behind them, Barry Grobbelaar and Mike Burrows were still charging. Their target was the Ailing van der Walt Harding Golf and the Class A7 lead. The target for Fernando Rueda and Jill Tarleton was a good top 10 finish, but they had puncture problems and were being closed down by a gaggle of Group N runners. Those chasing Rueda and Tarleton included Class N2 leaders Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval, the team total Nissan of category leaders Cliff Blackburn and Johan Klaassen, and Cobus Roos and Neil Faree in the Hencom Motorsport Toyota. Class N2 championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper had managed to steer clear of punctures, and like Hannes Grobbelaar and Nick Haddon in the total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, had fought back to rescue important championship points. Battle still raged in Class N1 between the Houghton brothers and the Toy Toy Spares Toyota Taz, and Richard Fasaki and Caroline Chimmer in the team total car. With rally distance running out, the advantage lay with the team total pair. Namibians Theo Coetzee and Nico Sneeman were still soldiering on in the Hyundai station wagon, although their pace had slowed somewhat. Eastern Cape pair Adrian Karth and Rikus Faree were on their way to a hard-earned finish, with Jamie White and Philip Archinall also set to go the distance in their first visit to the Cape. Another Eastern Cape pair, Graham Bishop and Teresa Evans, had also lasted the pace and looked set to be classified among the finishers. At the final service park in Grabo, 2 major changes had taken place in the closing stages. One of these saw Barry Grobbelaar and Mike Burrows move to the front of the Class A7 standings.
Well, nothing's over until the fat lady sings, as they say. We are 10 seconds ahead of Chart at the moment with 1 stage to go, which is a very short stage, but you know, anything can happen in that while. So we're just going to consolidate, not overdo it on the last stage, and hopefully we can do a class win.
The other significant development saw Enzo Kun and Steve Grobbelaar move into the top 5.
Yes, I think we analysed the situation this morning. There was rain on the mountain, and we decided to push really hard. With a penalty, of course, we lost the left front shock absorber completely. The bottom spring seat stripped down. So we've been running on a very low car for the last 3 stages.
Back at Ratanga Junction for the final curtain on the Rally of South Africa. Despite the counter-attraction of South Africa's World Cup rugby match against England, there was another good turnout of spectators, even though the final matchup between Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson and Jannie Havik and Douglas Judd was not going to produce any last-minute heroics. Damso and Hodgson had the Rally of South Africa in the bag, And Havoc and Judd had the South African Rally Championship in the bag. So a little bit of personal pride was all that was at stake. This time around, there was no histrionics from Douglas Judd, and it was all very gentlemanly as Damso and Hodgson went about putting the finishing touches to their second win of the season. The clash between Paulo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake in the Ford Escort and Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley was always going to be no contest, with the team total Toyota pair still popping along with only one wheel transferring power to the road. By this time, Lawrence and Paisley had slipped from 3rd overnight to 8th overall. Lawrence and Paisley made a brave fight of it, but Piazzamuso and Leake were comfortable winners to seal their place on the podium. There was a little more at stake when Barry Hrobler and Mike Burrows took on Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding, but with a little cushion over the Reeks towing VW Golf going into the stage, the team total pair could also afford to be a little conservative. A win sealed Class A7 for Hrobler and Burrows, but Van der Walt and Harding had done enough on the rally to clinch the Class A7 title. Fireworks were expected when Spaniard Fernando Rueda took on Enzo Kun, who revels in letting the Beamer's backside hang out on the tart stages. Rueda and Tarleton were on the way to a good result, but it was sideways action from Kun that the crowd wanted. By now, drivers were following tyre marks left by previous runners, and co-drivers could enjoy the ride. It was always going to be nip and tuck between the two cars, and Rueda and Kun provided for a grandstand finish. In the final frantic dash to the line, honours went to the Daewoo Lanos pair by the narrowest of margins. In an all-Class N2 scrap, Rally of South Africa class winners Diffie Moreira and Donnie Duval came up against championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper. The Cape crew also had the final say here, and that completed a highly successful weekend for the locals. Personal pride was also at stake in the Class N3 clash between rally winners Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen and current Class N champions Hannes Hrobler and Nick Haddon. This little duel also turned out to be a gentlemanly sort of affair, with Blackman and Klaassen holding the upper hand in the early stages. The Total Bridgestone Nissan crew had not had the happiest of weekends, but Hrobler, who has plenty of circuit racing experience, decided to put on a little spurt at the end to sneak the verdict. A second win of the season for Damso and Hodgson, but second place enough to give Havoc and Judd a second South African championship. Piazzamuso and Leake were on the podium, and Hrobler and Burrows took Class A7, but Van der Walt and Harding wrapped up the championship. The Class A6 win also gave JP Damso and Pierre Aris the class title. Class N3 went to Blackman and Klaassen, Class N2 to Moreira and Duval, and Class N1 to Fasaki and Chimmer. To the victors, the spoils with traditional bubbly for Damso and Hodgson.
It's been a long drought for us. We've had up and downs, and we've led a couple of rallies and somehow couldn't put things together, but I hope from now maybe we can give Yanni a good challenge.
Thank you, Jan. And,
more bubbly too for 1997 champions Jan Havoc and Douglas Judd, who took their record in 1999 to 5 wins and 2 second places. For the VW Motorsport factory crew, it was a moment to savour and a case of a lost battle, but a win in the war.
Yeah, that was our strategy, because the risks are so high trying to win events, and I think we've proven that we can do it for the last 5 events. So we were happy with our second place, and the championship was obviously the big aim today, and that's what we got.
A happy moment too for Barry Hrobler and Mike Burrows, who grabbed their second Class A7 win of the season.
And they have pulled it home. Barry Hrobler and Mike Burrows.
Adding to the list of titles and silverware in the Damso household were Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris, who sealed their maiden South African titles by taking the Class A6 win and the championship. A second Class N3 win this season for Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen and the team total Nissan Sentra, with Diffie Moreira and Donnie Duval giving Western Cape runners their third class win by taking the Class N2 spoils.
And that is also
Rodney Fasaki and Carolyn Chimmer triumphed in Class N1. With the ceremonial side of things over, the final word on the Rally of South Africa came from FIA observer Carlos Garcia Remoji from Argentina.
Okay, I see very good roads in the forest. The road on the forest is very good for all the rally, World Rally Championship and this rally. And it's a very good rally for the national championship, but I think it's improved better for the World Rally Championship. It's good in Cape Town. I think it's very good, but we need another headquarters, one big press room, and different things that today the World Rally Championship got for all the organizers, no? Because all the years the manufacturers and the FIA ask for us. I, like a organizer of the Argentina Rally, ask for us many and many things more.
Keep